Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I am your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrill. And behind the scenes, we have our young producer, Max Gerald. This week, we're going to break down UFC 313, talk about some local happenings, and then we'll see where we go from there. Coach Will, why don't you go ahead and start the show?
All right, so we're going to start with the regular prelims. Full disclosure, in this first one, I was popping my head in and out of, but that will be apparent when we start talking about the ins and outs. Max, you want to tell us who was fighting?
We got Marian Santos and Francis Marshall.
So, like I said, I was popping my head in and out. I was like getting ready because my boy Brian was in town and he was going to come over and watch the fights. And every time I popped my head in, Marshall was winning. And then they made the announcements that Santos won, and like even the announcers are like, "Dude, this is a robbery. Like this is terrible." And I was just telling you guys before this, like I just don't trust the MMA community on like what's a robbery and what's not. So it very well could have been based on the numbers here. Yeah, I could see that argument, but at the same time, I don't really have any good things to say about it. So. You got anything to add?
Well, you were popping your head in and out on the fights. I was popping my head in and out of the toilet because I got the flu and I was throwing up, so I did not watch any of the prelims. In fact, I got the main card, and we'll talk about how later, but I watched it the next day. So let's move on.
Right on.
So we got Carlos Leal and Alex Morono in the next prelim here.
All right, so this is the first one that I saw the whole thing. Leal just beat his ass, and Morono is kind of like usually like win one or two, lose one type of guy. Like he's solid, but he's not gonna be in the top 10 anytime soon. And but he's solid, and Leal just crushed him. So that was pretty impressive. He was the biggest favorite on the card, so like it's to be expected. But he did what he was supposed to. I also think he's out of. Max? Do you know? Is he out of the same gym as Jose Aldo? What's that called?
Oh, Leal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Let me check that.
Novo and Yao. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe he's just from the same city or something. I heard them saying something about that. But either way, thought that was interesting. But other than that, don't really have much else to say. He did what he was supposed to.
Did not watch. Move on.
Next up, you guys got Armen Petrosian, who I know you guys love, and Bruno Ferreira.
All right, so this one was interesting because Petrosian was a slight betting favorite going into it, which I did not understand why.
Well,
actually, I do understand why. He has fought better opposition,
yeah.
But I had that gut feeling that he was going to lose because he lost, that last one to Bullet.
But I thought he was winning up until he lost.
I agree.
I mean, it was crazy competitive, and I was kind of riding that. Like, I was like, all right, he got hit with the double back fist,
right.
which is like, a crazy anomaly. So I was like, I'm riding Petrosian without having much information on Bruno Ferreira.
So before this fight, he was 12-2, and all of his fights ended by finish. And I was just, I don't know, I just had that gut feeling. No good reason why, but I was like, I'm just like really sure this dude's gonna win, and he did. Ferreira looked like sloppy at times, and Petrosian's definitely like skilled, but he landed some big shots, and
All right, boring. Move.
Yes.
Next up, you got Joshua Van and Ray Saruya.
All right, this fight I came in on, and I enjoyed this fight. First off, this ended up being a 30-27 unanimous decision for Joshua Van. Joshua Van, the rightful winner of this fight, but I did give Ray the second round. Thoughts on that?
I don't remember specifics about like round by round because
in the second round he hit that arm throw in which he was on top in a top side headlock for a significant amount of time, and I felt like even though Joshua Van certainly outstruck him in that round, I don't feel like he outstruck him to the severity to steal a takedown and a dominant position, but I do feel like Joshua Van won every single other moment of that fight.
Yeah, I mean, it really gets into like the scoring criteria, and I know that right now the judges are on a big kick of like takedowns without damage don't really matter that much, and like I'm up and down on that because some takedowns are damaging in and of themselves. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but definitely Joshua Van won.
So I think one of the big stories in this fight was the optics of defending the takedown. So Ray went 4 of 21 on takedown attempts. And, you know, they're talking about like, like, oh, like that's scoring or something. That's not scoring. Okay.
Right.
If I'm wrestling you and I go 4 for 21 and you go 0 for 0, I beat you 8-0.
Yes.
Right. Think about it striking wise. If I land 4 of 21 strikes and you land 0 of 0 strikes, I won. Right. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying.
Even if I landed 2 of 2, you still won.
Right, yeah. I'm not saying that Ray like won and he didn't, but I just don't like the way that takedowns being defended are like the optics are being turned into that being like a way to win the round by simply defending takedowns.
I agree, 1,000%. I think we're going to revisit that later.
Now there's one last thing, and if I need to Ponzi this, I'm going to Ponzi it.
Go for it.
All right. So groin strikes. All right. There was a groin strike in this fight that got called off.
Oh yeah, that's right.
In the third round,
Yeah.
Ray got teeped, and it was a groin strike, and they went to review during the slight break, and they called it back clean, and they made him reconvene. But it was, in fact, a groin strike. They said since the toes landed on target in the stomach, it wasn't a groin strike, although the heel did hit the cup. So what they're saying is as long as you land somewhere clean, you can strike them in the groin.
Dude,
Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with the ruling. I think I agree with what you're saying 100%. That's like, imagine in a boxing match, if I hit you with a punch and then I continue through and hit you with my elbow. And they're like, well, he did hit with the hand, so everything's legal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, he still landed an illegal strike, you know?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 1,000%. I think we've seen some poor judging as of late.
What I would like to see happen there is I'd like to see groin strikes become legal.
They're legal in Thailand. You know?
I mean, just defend it. All right, we're good.
All right, let's move it on into the main card.
Before we jump into the main card, I had one question I wanted to get your guys' opinion on because
Yes.
we're fans of Josh Van here.
We are.
How did you feel about his like offensive striking performance there? His performance overall, I felt like there were a lot of times where he could have done more and got the finish, and it seemed like he just kind of didn't.
Don't know if he could have got the finish because someone who shoots nonstop like that, it's really difficult to finish them. But I do think that, he's known for having a really high strike volume. I think that if he would have used that, he would have gotten less shot like attempts from, I hate to even say this because Cerruti was shooting from like a mile away anyways, but like he would have gotten less of that and shots from even further away had he have been like throwing even more. So yeah, I think he should have used his volume more. But overall, it's really difficult to fight someone who's shooting on you nonstop like that.
I fully agree that had an impact on Joshua Van's volume. And I think that goes to show that like takedowns, whether successful or not, have value. Right? Joshua Van, someone who we know to put out a lot more volume and kind of like be a little bit more aggressive and chase down. It mitigated that, although, Joshua Van still won and was still very effective, but it definitely mitigated it enough that Max, a huge Joshua Van fan, was disappointed.
I think that's something else we're going to talk about later as well.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, starting off the main card, you guys got Mauricio Hoofy and Bobby Green.
All right, I'm going to start this one off.
King Green now, don't forget that.
King Green,
I'm going to start this one off.
All right, Mike, all right, hit us.
Why are the Fighting Nerds so good?
Dude, I don't know. I would like to see like English interviews with their coach. They all are like vision-based, movement-based guys. They all have that like solid fundamentals plus that striking flair, and they're just like supremely confident. Dude, I don't know.
They all are. They're fairly similar.
Yes.
That brings up a good question about the Fighting Nerds. I don't know if that's good for right now, but I'm going to do it right now. Are they like a homegrown team, or are they like a formed team?
We're gonna have to go to Max for that. Do you have any idea?
They are. I might need some more like clarification the difference between the two there, but they are homegrown from my understanding. The head coach is their kind of. Wow. His name's Pablo.
Yeah.
Something. He's like real skinny dude, gray hair. He's always got the glasses on. He started fighting I don't know how many years ago, but he was just like he didn't have the frame for Muay Thai. He was a little bit smaller, and he started up at this gym. And like his main pupil at first was the middleweight Caio Bajalio, and then from like those two kind of grew the gym together, and then they got Carlos Prates and John Silva and Mauricio Hoofy and all these other guys.
So my question for that, like either way, it's impressive. Like this is not a slight. either way, if they're homegrown or if they're like accumulated. So my question is like, did Maurice, like, at what point in Rufy's career did he become with the Fighting Nerds?
Yeah, that would be
right. What
interesting
point
to know.
in Pratez's career did he join the Fighting Nerds? Right. Like, if you look at like our team right now, like almost all of our team joined us as 0-0 or even just as amateurs.
Right. Yeah.
You know, not saying one's better than the other, right? You know, because we'll certainly like both are great.
Oh, for
but
sure.
I'm just trying to figure out why their style so seamlessly like comes through.
And I wonder if it's that those are the guys who excel in their gym, and so they rise to the top, or if they are brought to that gym because of that style. I don't
That's
know.
what I'm trying to get
Right,
at.
yeah.
You know, it could be a mixture of both. You know, but I'm that question is more out of interest. You know, than anything, and I don't want that to be taken as a slight, because if anything, it's a compliment.
Yeah, for sure. Would you be willing to say that you were a fan of the Fighting Nerds now?
No, I'm a anti fan. Like
Still a hater.
I'm a hater.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. What'd you think about that performance?
I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, dude, unbelievable. Also, we found out what Rufy's real name is.
Oh, what is it?
His shirt said Santos.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
Mauricio
telling-
Santos. Okay.
So actually, this is going to be important later too. So, like I said, I was watching this card with my boy Brian, and Chris was there too. But Brian like doesn't watch fights as much. He, he's in from out of town and everything. And so like I'm like giving backstory on all these guys, and I was like, yeah, this dude's name is whatever Mauricio Rufy because of some anime. Like I don't know about anime or whatever.
One Punch.
I don't know, but he was like, do you know?
I think it's One Piece.
One Piece. Yeah, that's right. It's One Piece. Yeah.
Hey, you're close.
Thanks, dude.
So he was like, well, what's his real name? I was like, I don't know. And he looked it up and he goes, apparently nobody knows. But then he walked out and his kit said Santos on it. So must be
You know
that.
what's funny? I saw him in the airport on the embedded with a kit that said Santos, and you know the first thing that crossed my mind was that it was his like homies who he cornered. I was like, oh, there must be a Santos on the Fighting Nerds, and he was like cornering them, so
Yeah.
he's wearing that jacket.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and like it never even crossed my mind that it could have been him.
Okay, so aside from just like incredible fight, awesome setup, I love that long hook into the wheel kick. I have a follow-up question on the other end. What do you think is next for Mr. King Green?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever he wants.
Yeah. On the one hand, I'd like to see him retire because he's
Are you
been around
Ponziing this,
forever.
dog?
I mean, dude, he's not keeping time. We're just going.
No, the timer, Brent, I can see it in the mirror.
Oh, well, Max, you're supposed to cut us off.
We went a little while, but there was a lot of like questions back and forth to me, so I wanted to give you guys a little bit more time to
Hey, so
elaborate on your
that's some-
thoughts here.
A producer's creative freedom there.
All right. Well, shouts out to Green for being around forever. But I would like to see him retire before, sooner rather than later. On to the next one.
Next up, you got Amanda Lemos and Yasmin Lucindo.
I'm done skipping.
Boring.
What?
Next.
Before we skip it, we should recall that there was one person who made
Shut
an
up, Max, keep
outlier
it
pick. You got Jalen Turner and Ignacio Bahamondes up
Oh
next.
man, strikes me as sad. First off,
Yeah.
Bahamondos, dude, what a dog, right?
Yeah.
First off, this dude, he like shoots in and then pulls bottom half.
Yeah.
Runs a really nice guard, but Jalen Turner was winning everything.
Dude,
He was winning everything, and now I get it. People are gonna be like, "Oh, Ignacio was landing like good off his back," and like he was attacking strikes good
Right.
off his back, landing. I'm not 100% sure on that. He was definitely aggressive with strikes on his
Yes.
off his back, and I really liked it, and that's how I'd want a bottom
Yes.
person to play, right? As you see, it helps open up opportunities to get up and attack submissions. But he by no means was winning in those moments.
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. But he uses it to create an opportunity to go omoplata, in which Jalen Turner turns back in and he throws it on triangle. And just in the trap triangle, it was just like, he was like, you know what? I'm done.
Dude, okay. Up until that point, I'm like, everything you're saying, spot on. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. But at this point, I guess I'm asking you, do you think that this was Jalen Turner's, like, him losing the fight more than Bahamondes, like, throwing that triangle on? Because I texted you guys both, and I was like, why is he just hanging out one arm in, one arm out for, like, what felt like forever?
Yeah. I would say, I think there's something going on with Jalen Turner outside of the cage.
Yes.
Maybe completely revolving around the cage, but like, that it was not a fully optimized Jalen Turner.
Yeah, his talent's better than his results, and it's unfortunate. He's
By
retiring.
yeah, I saw that by a landslide. I would be surprised for the retirement to go through.
I was about to say, I bet a year goes by, he comes back, hopefully mentally on point, ready to get back.
I just think somebody's going to reach out to him and make a case. And what team is he on?
He trains with a lot of different people. I don't remember the name of his gym. It's that coach, Aussie something on Instagram. I see him all the time. But like I also know that he'll go out and train with Classic Fight Team with Tyler Wombles and those guys. I need to figure out what his like home gym is, but he bounces around a lot. He's trained like Extreme Couture with those guys a couple times, I know. So he's kind of been all over the place a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that could attribute to it, you know what I mean?
Say, could be, but
but yeah, I just think someone's going to get a hold of him, put him in a right mental space, and he'll be back.
yeah, I agree. If he doesn't come back, I hope it's the best for him too, and he's just happy because he seems like a cool dude and again super skilled.
Yep.
Co-main event time, you got Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev.
Dude, this fight was sick.
You might as well turn that timer off because we're going to talk for quite some time.
I mean, I don't have too much to say about it other than it was just like super sick.
I've got a bunch to
Fiziev
say.
kind of surprising me with like early takedowns.
Yes.
Gaethje just like, I mean, like, does anybody not like watching Gaethje fight?
Dude, okay. Let me start that. So again, I'm watching this fight with my boy Brian, right? Brian he's never heard of Justin Gaethje, right? And I'm like, dude, you are in for the time of your life. I was like, this dude never shoots. It's just nonstop chaos. Like it's what we expect a Gaethje fight to be. And this was like the most great fight, but it was like the most measured and like like smart fight IQ wise Gaethje we've seen.
Yeah, but it's still from someone who's never seen Gaethje fight. It's still got to be one of the most wild fights he's seen.
Oh, for sure. But also, I told him I was like, he's just gonna stand in the pocket, just throw down. And so like then that didn't happen. I was like, oh man. With that said, me personally, dude, I loved it. Seeing Gaethje shoot, seeing Fiziev shoot, like you said, like that just makes it so much better in my mind. What do you think about Gaethje talking about how he doesn't like to wrestle because it tires him out?
Yeah. That's rough. I mean, like, wrestling tires the other guy out, too.
That's what I was going to say, and I think that Gaethje, being an All-American wrestler, he should be able to, like, trust in his
It's
ability.
a game of efficiency there, right? Like, it's a game of efficiency,
That's actually important, too. His style of wrestling is super explosive, you know what I mean? So I could see how, he maybe gets more tired. I don't know. But either way, I thought that's interesting. I thought the fight was super sick. Gaethje did the same thing he did in the first one, getting that, overhook, or collar tie, rather, and just blasting uppercuts.
I feel like Gaethje could, like, wrestle more without it being too taxing on him.
Yes.
By using just the quick explosive takedowns. Like, like kind of think like a little bit Frankie Edgar. Like, just, like, explode in. And if the takedown doesn't immediately materialize, turn it into the striking opportunity.
Yes.
As he did that in this fight. And that way you're not getting the optics that we're seeing of these defended takedowns being
Yes.
like
Oh, it was stuffed.
like, oh, like, yeah, like, did this dude just run in and jump his hips on you and stuff a takedown? Like, no, right? You shot in, you took an attack. Like, are you gonna be like, oh my God, he parried his jab? Oh no, like,
no.
come on, dude.
I agree.
But even those optics kind of go away when your single leg comes up into an uppercut,
100%.
So I think he could mix those in. He could find a way to mix those in and still be energy efficient. Efficiency is going to be the name of the game at the
Yes.
level that he's at in this weight class.
Actually, two things. One, where do you think Gaethje goes from here? Do you think he gets a title shot? What do you think?
I'm just not really interested in Gaethje versus Islam right now, coming off of the Max knockout and then just the Fiziev win. Fiziev also on a losing streak himself, correct? Is
Yes.
this not
Oh,
three in
yeah.
a row? So what, you get knocked out by all due respect, you get
Right.
knocked out by a 145 pounder and then you beat a dude on a 2-fight losing streak and now you're in the title fight.
I have the exact same thoughts as you. That's why I think he should either fight Poirier for his retirement fight or he should fight Topuria.
I would love to see him fight Topuria.
I think that's really interesting.
That's the match, and the winner goes to
Yep.
Makhachev.
I agree. Last question. Did you see the glove thing, how he didn't have the logo on his gloves?
Yeah, I did.
Did you hear that there was a conspiracy that he did that purposefully because
They blurred the onyx.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the embeddeds. Yeah. He says he didn't.
Yeah.
And I feel like if he did, he would say he did, like
yeah.
to prove that, like that'd be part of doing
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I feel like Gaethje
You know?
just like is honest.
He
about
said,
that
yeah,
sort
he
of
said that
thing.
the stickers started coming off, and they didn't want them getting in the eye, so they like taped
Yeah.
over them and ripped the tape off to like rip the stickers off.
And what do you think about the UFC being like, you got to put new gloves on, and him saying no?
I think that was awesome that they didn't make them.
Dude, for sure. And I think it was awesome that he just like stood his ground and was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like when you get gloves, I mean, we know this. Like we crease them up, we get
Yeah.
them like prepared to be on, you know, like your guy's hand.
Yeah.
Once they're on, like they're.
It's going to
broken in.
protect your guy's hand, and it's going to prevent against eye pokes.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else on this one?
Nah.
So in the main event, you got Magomed Ankalaev defeating Alex Pereira, the new light heavyweight champion.
You
What
wanna
did you
start?
score this?
I scored it either. I think 4 rounds to 1 was correct. I would have even potentially said you could make an argument for 5.
Oh, I didn't see an argument for 5-0. I saw a lot of 3-2s.
I think it was 4-1.
I didn't see many people arguing for 4-1.
I think that he, man, okay.
I had it 4-1.
Also, keep in mind, I'm watching this at like 1:30 in the morning.
I had it 4-1.
hanging with the boys, drinking beers,
And like I was trying for it to be 3-2. Like I was kind of watching, hoping for it to be 3-2.
I'm sorry, you
but
said
I had
you
it
had
four.
it-
I had it
4-1.
4-1.
Yeah.
I had Pereira had the first round,
That's me too. Yeah.
and then the last 4 I had Ankalaev.
So I think this is going to tie into.
And I know
Mahal.
round 3 was
Right.
some other people
Right.
were giving him round 3.
I don't agree with that.
And I feel like all those people were like, he stuffed 12 takedowns. I'm like,
Dude, okay, we're going to talk about that.
sick.
So also my bias is when I like a fighter and I want them to win, and I also know that they're capable of a lot, I just expect more from them. So sometimes I score them like more harshly, and that definitely is the case with Alex. I thought he should have thrown more, basically, but I do also think he was hurt worse than we thought throughout the fight. Now, getting back to what you were talking about with those takedowns, I think Ankalaev proved exactly what you and I preach all the time: is even if you're not successful with your takedowns, it makes everything else better, you know. And then to further follow up, you sent me that post from Ariel Helwani being like, "Oh, look, he defended all these takedowns." When are people going to realize defense doesn't win fights?
Dude,
Like-
it's like insane. Like, yeah, that's great to defend all the takedowns, but then you have to win the other areas of the fight, right? Like, if you defend a takedown and they outstrike you, you lose,
Yes,
right? Like, it's just blowing my mind.
it's so obvious.
You know,
to me.
it'd be like, imagine watching a basketball game, right? And like, what's one of the most embarrassing things that can happen in basketball, right? Like getting dunked on, yeah, sure, but like going up and just getting your shot just stuffed, like
Yeah.
swatted hard.
Uh-huh.
Imagine being like, oh, Mike and Will were playing 1-on-1, and Will swatted Mike 3 times. Oh shit! But Will also scored 0 baskets, and Mike scored 12.
yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, well, I kind of think Will won because he got those 3 swats. It's like, okay.
Dude, and also like our sport is so subjective. This isn't one of the things that's subjective. Like if you look at, okay, so for example, you know, I land X amount of punches, you get a takedown. Which one counts as more? I don't know. It's hard to say because the official rules, you know, is just effective striking and grappling. Like it's super subjective, and I could see arguments both ways. This, it makes no sense. Effective striking and grappling is defending some shots. Is that? I mean, it is effective, but like it's not offense, bro. It's not what scores. It just blows my mind that this is like a
Do you
conversation.
think the more data we have, like as the sport continues in 20, 30, 40 years, that there's a way that we can quantify what matters more, like through data,
100%.
right? So that way we could be like, all right, a takedown is 4 points.
Yes.
A punch landed is 0.25. Like, you know what I mean? Like something along those lines. Like we can kind of figure it out like through like breaking down and
Dude,
analyzing data.
I can tell you exactly how too. They're already starting to do this with boxing. They have like AI that tracks their movements, right? So if you take that, and especially if you get like little punch counter type deals in the gloves and maybe some sort of sensors in the mouth guards, we can start to actually quantify like this strike exceeded like whatever force we want, like this many newtons or, you know, whatever. And that counts for this much. And so you can literally put like a physics like term on how much like various strikes matter, and where they land, and how much impact there is on a takedown, and whether or not the other guy landed on top of him, and how much of that guy's force then went into, the guy getting taken down. Like, all of this stuff in the future will be measurable. And I think
that'd be crazy, and that'd be great, but it doesn't take away the fact that there's always that like closer, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could be winning 100 points to 0. If
Yep.
there's time on the clock, I can choke you out.
Yep.
I can knock you out, and win that fight. That'd be good, because I was actually watching a lot of wrestling this weekend. It was conference weekend, so there was an unbelievable amount of wrestling on, and I was home with the flu, so I was just laying there watching it. And I was thinking, I was like, I couldn't imagine, like, I was watching people complain on Twitter and stuff about certain things, and like, I couldn't imagine being like, hey, these two dudes are going to win wrestle a wrestling match, right? And you have to watch it, and you have to tell me who wins this wrestling match, but I don't tell you what's worth what points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you imagine being like, oh, like, I think that guy won, and then we pull out the scoreboard later and the scoring criteria later,
Right.
and are like, oh, actually, this dude won.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, well, I thought takedowns were only 2 points. Be like, no, the takedowns are 3 points here, right? Oh, I thought near falls were 2 points. Oh, no, near falls are 4 points here. Oh, okay. Or not even known, like,
Dude, and also, it's not just us. Like, we're obviously deeply in this sport, right? Like, we are professional coaches. That's all we do for a living, right? And we are still like, kind of like, oh, how exactly does this work? Not only is it us who, like, we should know what's going on, it's also the judges. Think about that fight from earlier that everyone said was a terrible call. It was a split decision.
Yeah.
It was 229-28, and then the other guy had it 30-27 for the other dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, and granted, that can absolutely happen, be legit.
For sure that can.
But like, that happens so regularly. It's just like, what are you guys looking at?
dude, I don't know. All right. Well, that's that. All right. Stock up, stock down.
Let's do it.
All right. You want to go first?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. You go first.
All right. So, you want me to start with stock up or stock down?
I don't care.
All right. Stock up. Craig
I'm trying
Jones.
to remember what mines are.
Did you see Craig Jones in the broadcast?
No.
Okay,
Because
so
I watch these fights.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So
For free.
Craig Jones was on screen for 3 seconds, and it shows him in the crowd, right? You know how like they bounce around to other people?
Yeah.
First of all, the fact that he got the UFC to show his face when he is directly competing with them, CJI versus
UFC Fight Pass.
Exactly. And like some of the same people, kind of, whatever. The fact that he still was on that, he's also linked up with Karate Combat, you know what I mean? Which is like somewhat related to the UFC because they're on Fight Pass and everything. And they still showed him, in my mind, huge. Also, they showed him for like 3 seconds. He just grabbed his homie next to him and just kissed him on the lips.
Oh, dude, he's hilarious.
Dude,
Oh.
hilarious.
Here we go.
Boom, here you go. So that's all the exposure he got, and I've seen
my
this
God.
all over Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, they've showed Gordon Ryan before, and
Yeah.
they just show him, and then you never think of it again. This has been all over Instagram.
Craig Jones a genius, dude. He's a genius.
Genius.
He's hilarious.
So funny, and again, he has like made it impossible not to pay attention to him. And in those 2 seconds, him kissing his
Wow.
buddy, he
incredible stock up.
stock up. What you got? I can do stock down too. if
You got to
want
go
time.
stock down because I can't remember either.
Okay, my stock down is, unfortunately, because especially over the past few years, I've started to really like this guy a lot more.
Oh, I know my stock down now.
King Green.
Yeah.
He, I like his style. It's very fan friendly. I think he's a legend for being around for, I don't even know how long, but like a really, really long time, fighting some really good guys, not changing his style based on those guys. But unfortunately, he's getting older. He's been around this long. I think that we've seen the end of him having, like, before, if you see him fight, you're like, all right, he could beat like anyone, you know what I mean? Like, maybe he lands that one punch, but I'm just like past that point now, which is unfortunate. Also, like, listening to various like people talking about him, everyone is like, oh, Bobby King Green. Oh, wait, King Green. Oh, Bobby King Green. And it's like, oh man, just like to add insult to injury, everyone's messing up your name,
Well, you change your name after having a certain name for the entirety of your career.
It's understandable.
And then
for
what?
sure.
You change your name for the last 2 fights.
It's totally
right. And like, how
understandable.
many
And it's your
fights does
fight
Bobby
name.
Green have? He has like 50 fights, right? And like, how many of those has been in the UFC? Like, probably like 30.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's like, yeah. Dude.
I totally get it, but also at the same time, it just adds to him being stocked down.
All right, dude. Okay, so I'm gonna go with my stock up first. Fighting Nerds.
Yeah.
Just out here, also like finishing impressively.
Yeah.
Looking so clean. So yeah, I'm gonna do some research on that team. by research, I mean I'm just going to ask Max a bunch of questions, and if he doesn't know it, he'll look it up.
I actually sent you guys something in the group chat about 2 minutes ago that's like a multi...
You sent it in the group chat. Here, let me check it out. Oh, shit, I can't because we use my phone for the camera.
It's a multi-slide post that they put out explaining the lore and growth of the gym.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. I hope I don't end up being a fan of them.
Let's go fighting nerds.
I like the hate right now. But yeah, it's getting hard to hate them. They're just stock up phenomenal.
Yeah.
Stock down. Oh, my generation.
Yeah.
We are dying off, and it is sad to see. It hurts my heart, but you know, us, the fighters of my generation, we're stepping out the door. I don't even know who we have left. We've got Gaethje left.
Yeah.
Gaethje left. I mean, Poirier, he's still not out, although like he's like limboing. Is that it? Is that all I got?
You got
anybody over any heavyweight doesn't count.
Who's the dude with the tattoo? Who's like 40? Who's a dog? What's his name?
Oh, dude.
Oh,
there's
Elkins.
still. Oh, Darren Elkins, the damage, dude. There's still the generation above me. Still, there's a rider in the generation before me still going.
Not heavyweight. I was gonna say
Jim Miller.
Oh, dude, Jim Miller's the man.
Jim Miller's still going, keeping it a lot. Like, but he's about to outlive my generation.
Dude, he's the only man who's beat Father Time.
Bro, yeah. So yeah, that's stock down. Stock down's my generation, but the time comes, Father. What do they say? Father Time loses to no man.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. So hey. You know, it's one of those sad times. Like, remember growing up, like watching all the athletes and being like, oh, like they're so big and like stuff like that. And then
older than me.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're the same age as them. And all of a sudden they're younger than you. Right. It's like, oh my gosh. Like, yeah, it's wild.
And you get guys like Jalen Turner retiring at, 29 or whatever. And you're like, oh man.
Yeah. So that'll be my stock down.
Now,
sad day.
To piggyback on that, did you happen to see, I saw some clips around it, but I also watched the whole thing. Did you see, Anderson Silva on Andre Ward's podcast?
No.
So one of the things he said was, Andre was like, hey, so like, are you done fighting? And he was like, no, never. First off, dude, his like, you know how some fighters, they get to, late 40s, their speech starts getting a little screwy. Anderson's is only getting better. Like his English skills, way better. His just speaking in general, it sounds smooth. I mean, obviously it's a second language, and like sometimes you can tell he's struggling for words and whatever. But it doesn't sound like the CTE's getting him at all. And he was like, "Oh no, I'll never stop fighting." And he's just like, "This is what I do." Like
I like it better when you say it in his voice, though.
I was about to, and then I realized it just wasn't sustainable.
My feet hands. So I hit him with my feet hands.
It's normal.
It's normal. Oh.
Oh, dude, that just makes me like Anderson even more, even though I don't want to see him get hurt. But
no, let him do his thing. Like,
for sure. As long as they have him fight other old dudes,
man,
I'm with it. And if he like looks okay, you know what I mean? Like sometimes
if you like him, you want him to do what he wants.
Exactly.
Let him do it.
And also he like still looks good. You know what I mean? Like it's not like
I would like to see these guys get into jiu-jitsu and competing in jiu-jitsu. There's plenty of competitions for older guys in jiu-jitsu, and we're not taking the brain trauma. All right.
I've got a couple just like random things that I was thinking about.
All right, randomize me.
Okay, so first off, let's stick with this because the funny voice is going to have something to do with this. Did you see any of the clips of Demetrius Johnson and Rod Tang together? I know the one I sent you.
I saw, yeah, just that.
Okay, so that one is hilarious. For those of you who are listening, it's a clip of Demetrius Johnson training with Rod Tang, and like they just finished doing like some sparring and stuff, and it was very cool to see them working together. And DJ like showing him how to sprawl properly, and not like just high school wrestling style sprawl, but actually like hit him with the hips, and it was just very cool. But he's on the ground and he's like showing him how to lock up a rear naked choke, and dude, this has lived rent free in my head since I sent it to you guys. He's like sitting in front of Rod Tang. He gets Rod Tang's hands in position. And then he goes and squeeze. I swear to God, it was exactly that. And dude, maybe it's not hitting for anyone else, but for me, that just plays on repeat every once in a while in my
Slaps.
head. So funny. But there was also another clip of DJ talking about John Jones. Did you see this?
No, I didn't. What did he say? He said, no, he lost.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, dude, he lost. The rules are the rules, and you broke them.
And for so long, I've just like accepted in my head, like, of course John Jones is undefeated. But then hearing another like super high level,
I would like to combat that.
Please do.
Like, was it even a 12-6 elbow?
To be honest with you, I can't remember, but I'd be willing to bet you can argue it came at an angle.
I mean, it's so hard to throw a true
Right.
12 to 6 elbow. Like what they tell us at every rules meeting, hey man, 11:59, like on you get that slight angle, that's no longer 12 to 6. Right?
Yeah, so unless
and the
someone-
fight was stopped, a point could have been taken away there.
Right.
That would have been the proper reaction, but the fight was inappropriately stopped because he asked a deaf guy if he could continue, and when the deaf guy didn't respond because there was blood in his eyes and he couldn't see, needed the blood wiped out of his eyes, he stopped the fight. So I still don't count that loss, even if it was a 12 to 6 elbow, because you would have to have Matt Hamill tell me he couldn't continue.
Dude, 100%. That's a great point. Also, I think
It was an inappropriate application of the rules.
I think that he probably hit him in the back of the head more than he threw 12 to 6, if I remember correctly. I haven't seen this fight in years. But yeah, everything was handled a little wrong there. I think you're right there. I was about to be like, yeah, all right, DJ, I see what you're saying. But no, I'm right back on with you.
Yeah, back, dude. I knew I could bring you back.
Hell yeah. With that said, dude, I love watching Demetrius
Yep,
talk
here we
about
go. Hold
fighting.
on.
He's so like spot on.
We're about to see if we can't see this elbow here. Max is searching it up for us. Here goes what we're gonna do though. During this, do you know the timestamp of it?
We'll go to the part that's most
Hold on.
replayed. That's probably going to be
So
it.
legal elbow. These are all punches, not even an elbow. Here we go. That's a hammer fist. That's a good elbow.
legal.
Legal as hell. Legal as
Super
hell.
legal.
Not even hitting him.
Isn't it weird how 12 to 6 this way is legal, but if the hand is
Hold on,
higher
hold
than
on.
the elbow,
Oh, there it is. Dude, that's certainly not 12 to
the
6.
second one
This-
definitely not.
Go back. Let's see the first one.
The first one I would understand, like, I would understand why someone
Nope.
would say it was.
Nope. His hand is significantly at like 1 o'clock. When it's look,
And
his
look-
hand, his hand's in line with his chin and his elbows in line with his lap.
That was the second one. Go to the first one. Look, on the first one he does this. It whips out, which tells me that you're. That first one it's hard to say, but also. But okay, first off,
Yeah,
let's
the
say
first one is hard to say. Hold on,
let's
here
say
it
that
goes.
is.
Yeah, that's pretty
legal.
12 to 6.
But again, you're right about the application of the rule, and they, Hamill not being able to like actually explain.
Yeah,
if
it would
he was
only
okay
be
or
a
not.
DQ if he was unable to continue.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right, but also that I could see how that's a 12 to 6. But I just hate that rule so much. I'm not gonna like have a good, argument for it.
Yeah. All right.
Especially when we've seen so many other like more egregious versions of that, like to the actual back of the head, which I was super wrong. Nothing hit the back of the head there, and them not getting called. So who knows? I've got one more topic that is kind of like topical. Another Instagram thing. Did you guys see that one of the Tate brothers said that Tom Aspinall would get beat up by like Secret Service dudes?
Oh my God, so fucking stupid.
And I thought that everyone would know that was stupid until I stupidly went in the Instagram comments and I see all these people, oh yeah, they're trained to like gouge people in the eyes and do all these killing things. And I'm like, first off, probably not. And second of all, like, okay, everyone agrees in a gunfight, Secret Service dudes or who does he say? Like, yeah, bodyguards, whatever. In a gunfight, yeah, they're probably going to win, right?
Yeah.
Like almost certainly. So the fact that they've developed those skills should tell you that they didn't have the time to develop the skills that Tom has. Not to mention Tom is 6'5", 260 and is like freakishly good at fighting. Like how do people not realize that like special ops dudes, like very impressive at what they do, like super impressive.
Hey, let's do it. Let's set it up.
Yeah.
The
yeah,
best one you got.
Yeah.
The best one you got. Line him up. Doesn't matter what weight he is because Tom's a heavyweight. Line him up. The best one you got. How about yours?
Dude, and also, how about this? You take like a couple of them who are like under 200 pounds, and I bet anything less than like 4, he still smokes them.
And you know how like, oh, never mind. I don't even want to get to it. All right, yeah, move.
Yeah. I mean,
Next.
Tate brothers are stupid, and this just confirms that.
All right, so, you good?
Man, that's all I got.
All right, cool. So I'm going to talk a little bit IBJJF. All right. So we had a squad go to Indianapolis this weekend. I was supposed to be a part of that squad, but then I came down with what we believed to be the neurovirus Friday afternoon. Started violently throwing up. So I could not make the trip. I am very sad. I am 100% sure I would have absolutely dominated. Yeah. But a few of our teammates did. We had Vince out there representing the team at adult black belt, the hardest division. And Vince took home 2 bronze medals. He lost his semifinal in his weight and the semifinal in the open weight. But, you know, black belt's just an absolute different beast. And I could go on a whole monologue on that. It's one of the things about like jiu-jitsu. Like, I feel like a lot of times when people come up and they're white belts, blue belts, purple belts, right? There's a way to look at it as if like you're like different. It kind of reminds me of like youth sports, like where you're just different ages. It's right. Okay. Like, so like when we're playing 10U baseball, right? Well, if we're the best, we're probably going to be the best when we're 12U too, because all of us are moving up together.
Right.
Right. Everybody I played with in my little league, right, at 10U, well, then we all turned 11 and we all turned 12, and it was basically the same league at 12U. We're just all 2 years older.
Right.
And like some people got better, some people maybe didn't keep up and stuff, but generally it was the same. And then you went to middle school and it was generally the same, with some people, you know, like kind of like growing into their own, like, you know, and stuff like that. So definitely different variation, but generally the same. And then you go to high school and generally the same,
Yeah.
right? Whereas that's not the case in jiu-jitsu, right? Right? Not everybody who's a blue belt goes to purple belt.
Right, yeah.
Right? Typically, especially competition-wise, typically only the really good blue belts go to
Right,
purple
yeah,
belt,
yeah.
right? And then only the really good purple belts go to brown belt, and only the really good brown belts go to black belt competition-wise. So like,
Even outside of competition, you know, sometimes people get confident.
oh yeah,
blue belt,
even
you know?
outside of competition.
Spend a decade there.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so my thing is like, you know, like you see someone who had a lot of success at color level belts, and like once you get the black belt, dude, it's basically like starting every tournament in the finals. Like that's
Yeah,
what you're doing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, I won all these tournaments. I won, you know, the AGF Pittsburgh. I won, you know,
Naga,
the IBJJF this, the Naga that, and all this at blue belt. It's like, okay, well, the other guy who did all that too, now you guys are in these purple belt divisions, and it's going to eliminate a bunch of you, and then only the winners of those go to the brown belt, like, you know. So
I like your baseball analogy, right? It's not like what you were saying,
Yeah.
going up in those levels. It's like, you know, blue belt is playing in high school,
Right.
and then, you know, purple belt is playing in college, and then brown belt is in the minor leagues or whatever, and then black belt is, you know, major leagues.
yeah, like that's how I feel about it. So, you know, hats off to Vince, who is Masters 2 eligible,
Right.
out there getting after it in
Vince
the
is so
premier
good.
adult division. Claire was supposed to be also making her black belt adult IBJJF debut, but she also came down with said
no.
neurovirus. So yeah, me and Claire, we were out. We had Isaiah Schaefer, who is one of the top ranked blue belts in the world in the gi. He has Pan Am's coming up soon. He double golded. He won blue belt, his weight class in the gi and his weight class in no gi. We had a fresh purple belt, dude, Cheech Anthony. The reason he has a nickname Cheech is because people mess up his last name all the time. Cicerelli or something like that. He won purple belt debut tournament at purple belt. He took gold in the gi, and then he
Wow.
took silver in his no gi division. And then we also had Erica Amoroso, who double golded no gi. She won gold in her weight class, and then took home the gold medal in the open class as well. So congratulations to stout athletes out in Indy. We see you.
I have a grappling question for you.
Give it to me.
Did you see, I think it might have been today, Gordon Ryan made a post about CJI.
I saw it. Yeah.
So 2 things about it that I think are funny. One, he starts spitting out numbers, and he's like, oh, you know, makes so much more money at ADCC, which I believe he personally does.
Right. Which
but
I found this
obviously-
funny as well.
And then also, you know, Gordon Ryan is the king of living in the comments and just arguing with random people. At least
Yeah.
when I saw it, comments were turned off.
Oh yeah, that's funny because he maybe that's, I mean, I think that's good. Maybe that's some growth and development on him, because I think that is one of like the things like he likes going in comment wars. Like they said, like he would just like spend all day,
Right.
Like it's like you getting on and playing Zelda, right? He's
Yeah.
like, oh, let me go battle people in the comments.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Like it's like fun for him. So you know, I'm glad that's kind of maybe moving on from that potentially. But there were some things of his that I agree with and appreciate. Right? He was like, yeah, the first off, something that I didn't agree with was that, like, he was like, oh, only the top percent get paid at the CJI, where every single athlete got paid. Mm-hmm. Where at the ADCC, this was the first year every athlete got paid, and they all got paid less.
Yeah.
And it was the first year they all got paid because CJI did it.
Exactly.
It was in response. And number two, I think that was it for that I disagreed with. Mm-hmm. But what I did agree with was he was like, if it was $1 billion, he was like, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, dude.
And like, dude, like I respect that.
I don't believe him, but I respect it.
Yeah, I mean, I respect, like, well, okay, I mean, I think that's not fair to say that you don't believe him. Like,
why isn't that fair?
I mean,
isn't that what we do? We sit here and we give our opinions on what dudes who fight.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't think that's fair. Like, you know, he could say he doesn't. I mean, I guess you don't care about anything though. So, like, yeah, you wouldn't care. Like, he could be like, oh yeah, like, he could say something audacious about you and be like, I don't believe him, and you'd be like, okay, don't believe me, right? You don't care. But I would care, right? Like, if you said something crazy about me and I said I wouldn't do this, and you're like, I don't believe you, I would care. But I respect that he wouldn't do it for any amount of money out of principle, to the feud. So
I'd agree with that for sure.
Yeah. All right. That's all I got on the Gordon Ryan thing.
Me too. Should we get into the fight picks? Oh, or should we?
What do we got time wise?
It's just past 3.
Yeah, let's do it.
Also, do we want to talk about the Vettori card coming up? Should we do that first? Do we want to give picks?
Yeah, let's look at the Vettori card because I do want to remind everybody that Younessi will be fighting. Mm-hmm. She will be the first fight of the night, affectionately known as the Curtain Jerker. But yeah, so, you know, we'll be able to watch Younessi get out there and scrap in her UFC debut. The main event of this card is Martin Vettori versus Roman
Hold on, Dolidze. First up, it's Marvin, but also
Marvin. I said Martin.
Yeah. Did I tell you?
You should probably change his name to Martin.
I might have said this on the pod actually, but I tell you, I was talking with Chris about whoever, and you know, us talking about fights, and I was like, yeah, something about the Curtain Jerker, and he goes, is that the dude's name?
Oh yeah. I think we talked about it in last week's episode.
Oh man, hilarious. But anyways, yeah, so Younessi obviously on that card. Check that out. No, go back to the top. Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. This is interesting because, you know, I kind of view them as like similar dudes where they're
Let's make a pick on it.
Okay. I'm going to go, I don't know. I'm going
to go.
I could go either way. So if we want to differ,
I'm going to go Roman Dolidze.
I was leaning that way. I'll take Vettori.
Max?
I'm taking Vettori.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go Roman Dolidze.
I truly believe, like, on paper, Vittori's the right pick.
Who did Roman Dolidze beat? That
was it Holland? Who was it?
Yeah, his last fight was the Holland fight where Holland destroyed his rib or something.
But even before that,
click on it. Hold on. Why? I'm confusing him with someone else then. Anthony Smith? Is that who A. Smith is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they had a...
Was that a light heavyweight fight?
Yeah, he moved up on a week's notice to fight Anthony Smith at light heavyweight. That was the
and then he lost
303 card.
Hold on a second. He already fought Marvin Vettori? Why are they rematching?
Because they had a card that they needed to fill.
Yo, bro. Dude. How did that fight go?
You could go either way on that. Which, the Vettori fight?
Yeah, Max,
I don't think I saw it.
Who definitely watched it.
It was
Max probably
just a boring 29-28 for I think Vettori did.
Yeah, it was Vettori.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. I'm running Dolidze. Go ahead. Let's move.
All right. What else do we have on this, and or do we want to even make picks?
No. I mean, well, let's just scroll down the card, and I'll tell you if we're making any more picks. You know
right on.
Oh, Cheaty Bang. No, I'm not picking.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about the other guy.
This one is too close.
Dude, 36 versus 38. Yo, my generation's back. One of us is going to win.
Also, we just did a pod 2 weeks ago about how the old people are killing it with, who was it, Cannonier and Angela Hill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, what am I talking about? Whatever.
That's all right. We live in the moment. That's fine.
Live in the moment.
On to the next one. I don't want to pick this one because I just don't know. We
No,
might as well
don't
not
want to
pick
pick
any
it.
of these, dude. I'm not
Don't
going
want
to
to
know
pick
anyone.
it. Don't want. Okay, Cody. Okay. Oh, Andrew Cunningham. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Don't care about. Okay. Yep. All right. Keep it moving. And there we go.
Unessi.
Unessi versus Carly Judice. All right. What do we know about Carly Judice? We know she's a southpaw. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and click on her, Max. Let's see if they have anything.
Kind of Muay Thai style. I would say if she's willing to stand with Unessi, that might be a problem. Unessi hits very hard.
So she got in to the UFC off of a Contender Series loss, which is
oh,
interesting.
really? Where?
Split
right
decision
there. Wow.
loss.
Oh, interesting.
I don't remember what her debut was, but it's possible it was like one of those scenarios where the original opponent pulled out and they just grabbed some girl off the Contender Series and gave her, her
Yeah.
debut on like 2 weeks' notice. That
Well,
type
look,
of thing.
she's coming off of 2 split decision losses,
Dude,
one on the Contender Series and then one in the UFC.
all I know
Click
is...
on the girl that she lost to. Yep, Gabriela Fernandez, who had been in the UFC for 4 fights, or for 2 fights at the time of that fight.
And
All
she
right, now
did
go
just
back.
beat Wayne Kong. That's not nothing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that is not nothing. Go back, because I want to see the girl she fought on the Contender Series. So on the Contender Series, she fought Ernesta, who won her UFC debut, lost her UFC debut,
and then won the next
and then won her next one. All right. So not too much to glean from that. Other than let's go Unessi.
Let's go.
Okay.
Should we start looking at our picks now?
Yeah, let's look at our picks, see how those are going, and then I'm going to drop some heat on you guys about a new segment that you guys can expect next week.
We're starting next week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, you weren't here for it, right? Me and Max made executive decisions.
Yeah, I ran downstairs, grabbed some coffee. Ooh, okay.
Bro, I went O. Did I go O for on that card?
All right.
Oh, no, I got 2 right. All right, cool. All right, so currently I am in last place with a 19-21 record. Max in second place with a 21-19 record. And Will in first place with a 23-17 record. Let's see. Me and Max both got Gaethje. So we all 3
Yeah.
took Poatan and lost that. Max and I grabbed that Gaethje fight. Will was the only one to go Bahamodes. Me and Will went Lucindo.
Yeah.
While Max was the only one to go Limoges.
Terrible fight.
All 3 of us went Roofy. And
Why did you go Ray because he's a wrestler?
what?
Ray, did you?
Yeah, because he's a wrestler. He wrestled at the U20 Worlds for Japan.
Yeah. Apparently, he like did the whatever they call it, like the Road to UFC or whatever.
Yeah. He won the flyweight road to the UFC. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just like ragdolls everyone. But he's obviously
He looks good.
one-dimensional.
Hey, he wasn't that one-dimensional.
What striking did you see?
I saw him hit Joshua Van
Like-
with punches.
Pull up the
that fight.
stats on that.
Pull up that fight, yeah.
I'd be interested. What do you think the number is that he landed?
30? 20?
I bet it's definitely sub. I'm gonna say 20 or less.
Okay.
We should fill this dead air time with something.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's one-dimensional to you? Like,
I thought the fact that he wasn't setting up his shots, he only threw strikes when it like felt like absolutely necessary, so he didn't just get like mowed through. Where's the total numbers? Oh, I see.
32. Okay. Or 47. Oh, wow.
okay. Well.
More than double what Will thought.
For sure.
Crazy. All right, cool. So I guess he's not one-dimensional. Let's also look at his whole record. Let's see if he's ever landed a punch in any other fight.
I mean, I would assume
You
he's
know,
landed a punch.
like one-dimensional. Like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? He's 10-0 coming into this with. Did he already had a UFC win, right? Yeah, with a win in the UFC. 3 wins on the road to the UFC. Yeah, bro, come on, dude. Sub, a TKO. Like, get out of here, one-dimensional, bro. You can't be in there being one. He has even been taken down.
I would still say he's one dimensional.
All right, man. Sounds good.
His
Cool.
pretty much his only road to victory is just getting takedowns.
I mean, Kron Gracie has like strikes landed in the UFC too.
Yeah, but Kron Gracie is one-dimensional, right?
Right.
Like, you don't think this dude's like? I mean, that is just wild. Does he have a submission? Kimura. Right there, two-dimensional.
I don't think
There's two dimensions. There's two dimensions.
I don't think that having a submission win means that.
Are you combine jiu-jitsu and wrestling? They're the same thing.
No, but I'm just saying, like, okay, so imagine someone's like very one-dimensional.
How many dimensions are there in a fight?
I mean, broadly speaking.
How many dimensions are you broadly speaking?
I would say 3.
Okay.
Very broadly, right?
So does he
Wrestling-
only have jiu-jitsu?
No.
So does he only have wrestling?
I would say that is primarily what he does.
Oh, okay. All right. Primarily, what does Israel Adesanya do?
I'm glad you said that, because I would say Izzy's very one-dimensional, right? Now imagine Izzy goes out there and stuns some dude and then gets a submission. He jumps on it. That's going to show up on his record as submission, but does that not still mean he's one-dimensional?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't mean that he's not one-dimensional. But this dude's certainly not one-dimensional. Like, that's just
I think you and I are
outrageous.
arguing over the line of, like, how much of other, styles does he need to use?
There's no doubt in my mind that this dude can fucking do submissions and wrestle.
I mean, I'm sure
That's
he
inherent.
can.
Am I one-dimensional? I must be one-dimensional then.
No, absolutely.
Because
not,
I'm a
because-
black belt in jiu-jitsu and I'm a good wrestler. So I know I'm not one-dimensional. And I would say this dude's probably...
And also...
This dude's probably like carbon copy, like pretty close to me.
No, I bet... I
I mean,
think
obviously he's better. But
I
like...
think that you're...
skill-wise, translation-wise, like
No, I
he's
think
good
you're-
at jiu-jitsu and he's good at wrestling.
I bet you're way better at jiu-jitsu than he is.
I maybe, but like he's way better at wrestling than I am.
Sure. But
So that would make me one-dimensional jiu-jitsu. That's weird.
No, it doesn't.
That's weird. That's weird. I mean, in the comparison to his wrestling, I'm a 1.
Mike, let me
And
ask
then
you... Let me ask you then, who's a one-dimensional fighter?
who's a one-dimensional fighter? Alex Pereira.
Alex Pereira. Okay. Do you think Alex Pereira knows how to submit anybody?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So he's a black belt, right?
Yeah, but I see Ray submitting equal competition.
Equal to him?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think that Pereira could submit someone who's as good as he is at jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So then how is he one-dimensional?
Well, you're asking if he can submit someone as good as him at jiu-jitsu. He's submitting other pro fighters.
Oh, you're saying
Right here.
as good as
Yeah.
him at MMA?
Yeah, look, I mean, he's got a submission win right there. Go to his whole record.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Poatan, if he chose to, could have submitted Khalil?
No.
At the end of that fight, after those 2 body shots, he's crumpling up. And he's
Maybe, dude. Maybe. You're still wrong. All right? I'm telling you, this dude's good at jiu-jitsu, and you're out here. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
That's fair. I have no idea how good his jiu-jitsu is or isn't.
Look, go up. We just passed up his sub rate. Wow. What, 40% of his wins by submission?
Dude, I was done on this like 5 minutes ago, but I wanted to keep it going.
40% of his wins by TKO, 40% of his wins by submission.
Max, go down to who
Seems
he's fought.
multi-dimensional.
Has he fought anyone real good?
So you got to zoom in. I can't see anything. All right. Right there. Yep. 9-1. 9-3. So he's 7-0 versus 9-1. He's 6-0 versus 7. He's 6-0. Kimura's a 7-0. He's 7-0. He decisions a 9-1. He's 8-0, and he TKOs a 13-2.
Now, let me ask you this. Can you give me an example of someone who is a one-dimensional fighter and that one dimension is wrestling? And you can go through eras too.
Yes, Mark Coleman.
Okay, Mark Coleman. Did Mark Coleman finish fights by TKO on the ground?
Yeah.
But still one-dimensional, right?
That's the wrestling. That is the wrestling dimension.
Ground and pound win.
That's the wrestling dimension I'm talking about. What are you not fucking following?
I think you're making my point.
No, I'm not. And then he has the submission wins. That's the jiu-jitsu aspect. Are you fucking keeping up here? Holy shit, dude.
Apparently not.
Wow. That's 2 dimensions. Is that not? Is that not 2? Did you not say that there's 3 things? There's jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and striking.
Right. And what I'm saying is like, but also they lead to other things. So if you have really good
Bro,
wrestling-
okay. They lead to fucking other things, dude. So everybody's one-dimensional then.
No.
Like, what the fuck? You don't know anything about this dude. I do.
That's
okay,
fair.
I'm telling you, he's multi-dimensional.
That's fair.
Holy fuck.
I'm with it. I'm with it. With that said, do you think that Do you think Joshua Van, like, what do you think about his level of wrestling?
I don't know. I don't fucking care
That's
what his
fair
level of
enough.
wrestling is.
All right. How do we even get to this? Where were we? Oh, here. That's all of the fights on this card, right? Oh, the Ferrero one. Yeah. Yeah, that one I didn't have a good reason for. I just like had that gut feeling that Ferrero was going to win because he had so many finishes and Petrosian was coming off of a finish, but that doesn't always work out.
How long ago was that Petrosian bullet finish, though?
That would have been, that was one of the Abu Dhabi cards last year, so it would have been
Like enough time to like
October?
heal?
Probably.
Probably.
And he like,
And he wasn't like face plant out cold.
well, he got
you know?
crushed with, oh yeah. Well,
He went down and he was like clearly out of it, but he wasn't
Bruno
like,
crushed him with a left hook early in that fight. Do you remember? Like, little chubby dude just jumped in on it.
Did you see the odds on Ferreira by submission?
They were way high.
It was like plus 9,000 on him by sub. It was something crazy like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who like has a crazy finish rate like that, that might be a good place to sprinkle some units.
Yeah.
Sprinkling units, that's our segue.
Speaking
Yeah, I'm
of,
not going into it.
That's fair. We got any other subjects?
Nope.
All right. We'll bring that one up in the next one.
All right. All right. That's this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. We'll catch you next time. But can't you submit somebody with jiu-jitsu? And do you know which one it was? He's got 4 fucking submissions, bro. 40% of his fights are by submission.
Because what I was trying to get at is even what I should have said was even those submissions might have come from, which I don't know, but might have come from like ground and pounding and someone turns over, you slap it on, you know what I mean?
Which I would still consider that jiu-jitsu. I would still consider ground and pounding to a submission jiu-jitsu. Honestly, you can consider ground and pound. I would consider ground and pounding to a TKO jiu-jitsu.
Honestly,
Because
it's almost more jiu-jitsu.
It is what jiu-jitsu is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anything that happens after the takedown, beyond it is like a little bit of gray area when it comes to
No, that's
control.
spot on. Because
But there's a gray area when it comes to control because like them not being able to get back up is both jiu-jitsu and that's where the sports overlap.
because I thought I was making my point accurately and I wasn't. I was
Yeah,
trying
dude.
to say
It was infuriating. Max almost quit. Max was so mad.
I got lost. There's a sliding scale, right? So it's like let's say we're doing like video game like
Pull his shit
attributes.
back up.
Let's say we're doing video game attributes, right? And
Right.
it's like you have whatever 100 points to give around, so you could just make an average 33, right? And we could say like, oh, if someone's less than like 10 or whatever in certain area, now they're quote unquote one dimensional, or sorry, less than 10 in like 2 areas. Then we
I
call
get
it
you.
one
Okay,
dimensional.
yeah. But I think that's a fallacy and a way of thinking about it, though, there as well. Because, okay, let's say we're doing like a video game rating. All right? How many points are you giving?
All of it.
Okay, well, then that's a different argument on one dimensional. So, what I would be saying with that is.
Should we turn the mics back on for this? Fucking Christ. This is where that conversation should have gone.
Oh, I'm still recording. Okay, this is great.
Right on.
Oh, we're still recording?
Yeah.
All right.
Put the camera back on.
100 points if it's a video game.
Okay.
Build your character, create your own.
Oh, wait, because we're taking the audio from. Where are we cutting the audio off at? From whenever.
I think
whenever
Max is just
called
gonna
it.
make it work.
Yeah. Well, we can.
You know what? Creative control, Max. You run.
Yeah,
Dude,
we'll
actually,
figure that
you should
out.
make a clip of you getting mad at me. People will be like, "Yo, that dude hates the other dude." But like, nah, it's just normal.
Bro, I was.
It's
so,
normal.
So mad. I was so mad. I was gonna quit the podcast. I was gonna be like, you know what, Max, this is your chair now. I'm fucking out of here. All right, so we're back to what is one dimensional, what is not one dimensional. While we were off air, just in case Max tries to clip this to make me look bad, Will admitted defeat. Okay, so
Do you want me to give the
Yeah,
point system? Okay,
give the
so
point system.
we were talking about how if you have like again in broad strokes, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, which we'll define as like everything once you're on the ground, roughly, and striking, and you had 100 points to give to a fighter, right? Like video game style, right?
Right.
If they're under whatever number we want to put it at 10, 15, whatever, in 2 of those categories, then they're one-dimensional.
right.
Take it away.
Okay, so here goes what I don't like about that. number one. So, like, let's use a fighter, for example. What fighter would you like to use, and we can assign these points to?
That I think is one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Let's use who'd you say, Izzy Poton? Either one of them.
Yeah,
Same
use.
thing.
Okay, yeah, I mean, okay, here, let's use this Ray guy, right? All right, so, okay, it doesn't matter.
Do you want me to spit about
Yeah.
some other guys? Okay, so let's say, I'm just going to make up some numbers here. Izzy, okay? I would say his jiu-jitsu and his wrestling are probably roughly equal, and they're like not that good relative, obviously, to his
So you
striking.
would give them what?
I would give them probably, I don't know, about 10 and 10 and then 80 to striking.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head, rough numbers.
All right, so here goes the problem with that, all right? So he could be one-dimensional, right? But I don't like that you're giving it just 100 points. Like, that's all every fighter gets to use, because that's not accurate. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. It's more of a percentage based, because some guys have 100 points and some guys have 50 points. You know what I mean?
Because you wouldn't classify, like, if you were like, oh, this dude is a fully well-rounded fighter. All right, let's say you had fighter A and you're like, he's fully well-rounded, so you had him at 33, 33, 33, right? And fighter B is, in your estimation, you know, like more like one-dimensional, where he has like, you know, let's say he's got 34 in one category and all the rest in the other. You know what I'm saying? Well, he's better than this dude in two areas.
Well, hold on. Back up on the second fight. You're saying he has 34 in one area and then the
Yeah.
other twos are even?
No.
34.
1-0. 1-0.
Oh, okay.
One of them 0.
And we're saying that they're
Well, what I'm saying is, like, so here goes the thing, like, a one-dimensional fighter, right? Like, like you could be saying, for example, this Ray guy, you're like, oh, he's one-dimensional. When I'm saying, oh, no, he's got jiu-jitsu and wrestling. And you'd be like, no, I think he's just got wrestling. I don't think he's got jiu-jitsu, right? And then you'd be like, oh, well, this guy, fighter B, he's well-rounded, right? All his shit's, like, relatively equal. And I'm like, well, this Ray dude's better than him at jiu-jitsu and wrestling. So how can he be one-dimensional, but this dude's well-rounded when Ray's jiu-jitsu is better than the other guy's jiu-jitsu?
Oh, okay. I've got two good arguments for this. One is what I was saying before is I'm looking at this in proportions, not
Right.
absolute skill, right? So
Right, okay, so even in those proportions, okay, what if, for lack of another word, Izzy's 10 in his wrestling is better than 85% of the UFC middleweight division?
okay, you're bringing up another good point here. It's also how much they choose to use it, right? So would you say that Gaethje's
It has nothing to do with what they choose to use. It's what they have, right? Maybe they
I
don't
think-
need to use it. No,
think
because
that does matter.
No, it doesn't matter, because who is somebody who we know to be extremely well-rounded?
the example I was going to use is Gaethje up until like recently.
Okay, let's just use
shooting.
Gaethje because we do understand that if he chose to use, we know he has his
Yes.
wrestling. If he chose to, okay, if Justin Gaethje knocks everyone out in the first round, would you then say he's one-dimensional because he never takes someone down?
No, but I would say
No, because you know he has it.
right. But I would also say that calling him one-dimensional for
What
that
about
stretch
Tom
of his-
Aspinall? Does he not have a lot of early knockouts?
Yeah, but he also takes people down.
Yeah, but if you just took his fights with early knockouts, you'd be like, oh, he's one-dimensional, which would be a lie.
Yeah, but let's say that he only.
So you're
ever-
saying you are only multi-dimensional if you show it. Other than that, you're just one-dimensional.
I would say, yeah, right. I mean,
I would so wildly disagree with
okay,
that.
you know, I would agree with you if every single fight was like a super early stoppage, because then you're just like, well, we don't know. But if you have enough data points, let's go back to Gaethje. Actually,
No. This can be something we know. Like, we know Gaethje has good wrestling. Why? Because of his wrestling. Not anything in MMA, but we know it because of his wrestling.
And he also did
right?
wrestle in his early fights. But I mean, like,
Right.
early UFC. And to go back to your example is if he was starching everyone early, think about like fights where he got into trouble later, right? Like Poirier, right? Like, in my mind, if you're
Okay, I got a great one. Anderson Silva.
hit me, yeah.
Anderson Silva, right? Knocks everyone out, right? And then all of a sudden someone takes him down and they get submitted and you're like, oh, he's not one-dimensional, right? Was he one-dimensional before then? No, he was multi-dimensional. You just didn't earn to see the second dimension because he didn't need to use it. What is the first thing you do in a fight? Is striking. You start standing. So until you get past that, right, you don't get to see if they're multi-dimensional. Let's use jiu-jitsu for an example, all right? That doesn't mean that they weren't, though.
Right.
He was. Let's use jiu-jitsu as an example. Do you think Gordon Ryan is poor at defending submissions or skilled at defending submissions?
I would say skilled.
Yes, very skilled. How do we know he's very skilled at defending submissions?
Because we've seen it.
When?
EBI starts.
Okay, so rule set variations. When?
You mean outside of that?
No, when have we seen it?
When
EBI starts. What year was that?
a couple years ago.
Maybe like 12, 14 years ago?
Didn't he have a match with Nicky Rod where they do the EBI?
UFC Fight Pass.
Was that like that long?
No, that was like 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you think he didn't have good submission defense until then?
No. No, I'm agreeing with you. Yes, he had good submission defense.
But
we didn't see it. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
But prior to then you would have said he didn't.
No.
You would have called him one-dimensional. He's just offensive.
I would not have said that. No.
Okay. So just because we didn't have, he's not going to let you do submissions, right? You got to get there to show that area, right? If every punch I go to set up my takedown with ends up knocking someone down, why am I going to ends up knocking them out? I'm not going to finish my takedown, right? If I go in there, but now you're going to be like, oh, I don't have wrestling. But because in practice, I wrestle everyone down. I had a wrestling career, right? You know what I mean? So like you can't say that I'm one-dimensional. Someone who's one-dimensional is someone who is proven to have been one-dimensional. It's someone who has been exposed to be one-dimensional. You don't get to be one-dimensional by only showing success. You only get to be labeled one-dimensional by showing a deficiency. That's all there is to it.
You're making some really good points here. Okay, so I have 2 questions for you. Number 1, does this then mean that you can't be called one-dimensional if you're only striking, because that's where it starts? That's one. And I'm gonna give you the second one too. Okay, what was the second one? Ray. Oh, shit, I just had another good one.
Alex?
What were you just talking about before that? You were saying Gordon, the ball. Oh, yeah. What level of striking does someone need to be at for you to consider them? Or no. Let me ask a better question yet. If somebody chooses to only use one aspect, even if we know, right? So like, let's say Gaethje, we know that he's like good at striking and we know he's good at wrestling, right? Let's say that for the next however many fights, he just comes out, pulls guard, he hooks everyone, right? And does that for like 10 fights in a row. In that 10 fight streak, would you call that one dimensional?
No.
Interesting. Okay, well, right there, that's...
Well, he won.
Yes.
Right. So here's the thing. You have to be... if you're winning, you don't know the other dimension. It has to be... You don't have to prove that you have something good. Something has to be proven to be weak.
Interesting.
Do you disagree with that? Right? So, like, if I knock you out every time, right? And you're going to be like, oh, his weakness is takedown defense. And then you shoot and I counter, take you down and submit you, right? Like you know what I mean? Like, you only get to say I have weak takedown defense when you see someone successfully take me down.
That's a fair point.
You have to show that it's a weakness. If you didn't even get to it, then you can't say it's a weakness.
That's a fair point. Let me ask you this. What's his name? Toquinho. What's that guy's name?
Who's smart?
Oh, yeah, Paul Harris. Do you think he's one-dimensional?
No.
Shoot, pull guard, leg lock, right?
No.
We don't know about his other skills.
Yeah, we do. We watched him fight in the UFC.
Right. And but didn't every single fight...
Do you think that's all he did? Absolutely not.
In my memory, granted, this is a while back. But
do you think they would keep... Are you serious?
Didn't he in every single fight shoot a single, pull Achi and just rip a leg?
No. Has he done that? Yeah, but no, that wasn't like every single fight.
Oh, dude, I could have sworn that was literally every single
pull
one.
Him up.
Yeah, pull him up. This is a good example. Also, I mean, if we want to...
if he was one-dimensional, great. But he's not the person I'm arguing to not be one-dimensional.
If we want to...
Get down to like his more UFC career. So he went 8-4 in the UFC.
If we want to wrap it all up, too...
It would all be like in a row because he was in there until he got cut for not letting go of...
we were arguing about definition less so than we're arguing about like actually what people do, but I'm here for it. Let's keep it going.
All right, so he lost to Nate Marquardt by punches. I remember that one.
I don't remember him fighting Nate Marquardt.
He got a lot of leg lock. Dude, he was not going in there and just pulling guard.
I thought it was like
as a standard procedure.
I thought it was
he wouldn't stand up and strike.
Yeah. That's what I remember. I could be wrong here. You could totally be right.
Yeah, no, you're definitely wrong. There's no way that he went out there. What about Ryan Hall? Who would just kind of throw spinning kick in Imanari rule.
That's a good example because I would say I would also argue that he's relatively one dimensional, but I would also say he's less one dimensional than other people because I would say his strikes, and maybe we're getting into the definitions now, I would say he thinks or commits to his strikes and thinks some of them are going to land. Whereas like, I would say certain guys are just like throwing them out there just to like relatively keep some range and just like doing like what I would consider the bare minimum of like pro level striking.
Who are those guys?
I would say Ray. I wasn't impressed with his striking.
Do you think Joshua Van is an okay striker?
I would say he's above average.
Do you think he's above average enough to, maybe not get hit 47 times by somebody who doesn't know how to strike in a professional fight?
I would say that
especially if that someone is also spending time doing 21 takedown attempts.
I would say those takedown attempts are the reason why he was able to land 47 strikes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying his setup for 21 takedown attempts, he was landing 3 strikes for every takedown attempt.
Less.
Well, a little bit less. Yeah. So
not arguing on the math. I'm arguing with the concept. I think that he was, and one of the reasons I think he's one dimensional is because of all the naked shots.
Okay. All right.
Mike, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'm purely looking for like your opinion here. I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer. It depends on how you view the sport. But do you think Khabib is a better striker than Conor?
No. But
he was able to beat him on the feet in a lot of areas.
Are you about to suggest that Khabib is one-dimensional?
No. I have a follow-up about the one-dimensional thing, but I'll get to that. But Khabib was able to beat Conor in areas on the feet. Down. Would he have been able to do that without the grappling threat?
No.
Right.
I think that's what makes him multidimensional.
Yeah.
I think that's the definition of it.
So, and this is a little bit back to what you guys were talking about with like someone like Anderson or I think Gaethje in particular. I think Gaethje and actually Yoel Romero are 2 really good examples of this. Do you differentiate between a one-dimensional fighter and someone who has a one-dimensional approach while they're fighting?
Yes. Okay. That is a huge difference.
Right there.
Those are 2 completely different things, and that should be common knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That should not be like something that's hard to put your finger on. That should be like fairly basic.
And that right there, I think, was the crux of the argument.
And that's why I'm so furious, because that whole that's so straightforward to me.
Like none of us are ever going to say that Yoel Romero can't wrestle, but he chose not to for like most of his fights. He had a one-dimensional approach to it without actually being a one-dimensional fighter.
Yeah, same Justin Gaethje. It's a one-dimensional approach. Yeah. But he's not a one-dimensional fighter.
Well, Max, you know what I mean? Hold on, you're making too much sense now, and you've just stopped the argument.
No, we're not done, because you need to apologize.
Because now I'm 100% in agreement.
Yeah, with my side.
No, with the definitions now.
Yeah, okay. So you still think, though, that, who were you saying? Some other things that I didn't like.
Ray, we were talking about Izzy and Poetan, Gaethje. Who else did we say?
Well, you said Ray was one. Do you still say he's one-dimensional?
Relatively.
Okay.
But right. With that said,
so which one doesn't he have? Or which one doesn't he have? Jiu-jitsu or wrestling? Which one does he not have?
I would say he doesn't have as good of jiu-jitsu.
As good of jiu-jitsu? I would say so too. He's a world team member for Japan and U20s wrestling. I would say he doesn't have as good as jiu-jitsu.
But that's what I'm saying.
Am I one-dimensional?
Is no.
So which do I have that is exactly equal?
That's what I'm saying is they don't have to be exactly equal. You and I are arguing about, like, let's say that we have those 3 categories. It's just like at what point, you know what I mean?
No, it's at what point is it a liability? That's what it is. It doesn't matter. Like, if my wrestling is just out of this world, I have unstoppable takedowns. Obviously, my jiu-jitsu is not as good. My jiu-jitsu could be 10% of that, but still be better than almost everybody's jiu-jitsu. So then my jiu-jitsu would not be a liability. Therefore, I'm not one-dimensional.
You're making a great point here. A fantastic point. And one that kind of cements your argument is because wrestling and jiu-jitsu have so much overlap, and you could just be real good at wrestling, and like that helps obviously with like not getting submitted because of like the positions and everything. That kind of like would cement your point. But you also just made a point on my side. Real quick, Max, can you pull up the strikes in the Van fight? Because what you said is it proves to be a liability. Would you say that Ray's lack of striking is what allowed Joshua Van, even with the threat of the takedown, to land 127 strikes?
So now you're saying striking is also jiu-jitsu.
No.
Because I'm saying that he's got wrestling and jiu-jitsu. He's not one-dimensional.
Right.
So now we're looking at striking for you to tell me that he doesn't have jiu-jitsu.
No.
Because you agreed.
Separate point.
You agreed that he has wrestling, but
Yes.
you disagree that he has jiu-jitsu. So
Me
now
too.
we're going to look at striking. Okay.
You've brought me over on that side. Let's just say he has great jiu-jitsu. Separate point.
Okay.
It was what you were saying that I thought made a lot of sense. You said that it has to be proven to be a liability.
Right.
Would you say that kind of like striking like ratio difference of landing that many more strikes, and again
Yes.
against the threat of all the takedowns, which we know makes
Yes.
Vans,
That would be where his weakness is.
I guess that's we're in agreement there. That striking is a weakness.
Yeah,
It's
his
just-
striking it would be his weakness. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, you should have said that would have had me on your side in the beginning, and I wouldn't have been able.
Who do you consider to be evenly well-rounded? Like, do we have someone like maybe Dustin Poirier is getting close to
You know
that?
who the best example I was going to say?
I would say
Volkanovski?
Islam. The
Volk's
Volkanovski
great.
or
Volk's
Islam.
great. Yeah.
Volk, super well-rounded, right? We've seen him do great jiu-jitsu against Brian Ortega, against Islam, his wrestling against those guys, and like Mendez and stuff. His striking against Max and Yair. I don't care anymore. His striking against Max and Yair, right? So he's completely well-rounded, all right? Where is his weakness against Topuria? It was shown to be in the striking.
Yeah, but I would say getting
Okay.
finished by Topuria doesn't mean that you have a lack of striking ability.
Okay, I would say that if you get outstruck by Joshua Van at the level that these guys are at, doesn't mean that you have that you have no striking. He has better striking, right?
I didn't say no striking.
Like you can get, yeah, you did, because if he had striking, he wouldn't be one-dimensional. So you did
No,
say
I'm
he had
saying-
no striking.
I'm saying it's below a certain threshold.
Again, so
Mike, do you want me to tell you how you get me to say you're right?
no, I don't.
Ask me how he does in a jiu-jitsu tournament.
No,
right?
I don't. It doesn't matter.
Because that,
I want to know how he does in an MMA tournament.
I mean,
He wins it.
Clearly good.
He wins it, right? Where they're allowed to do striking. Okay, yeah. So my thing is he's not one-dimensional. He has already shown to have good jiu-jitsu and good wrestling, and his striking is like, not his strong suit, and is going to be weaker against people who have better striking than him, but that doesn't make him one-dimensional. In fact, the benefit of being multi-dimensional is that you can beat people who are better than you in areas. That's the whole point of it, right? The general rule of thumb is be better at 2 out of the 3, right? If you're going to be the better, and being a better wrestler typically is the best, but the way that you kind of generally look at it, if you're better at striking and grappling, well, then it doesn't matter if they're better at wrestling, because you can beat them up or down, right? Okay, well, if you're better at striking and wrestling, well, then you can use your wrestling to stay away from the grappling where they're better. If you're better at wrestling and grappling, then great, you can use your wrestling to get to the grappling where you're better. That's the general rule of thumb. It's not to be better than them at all 3, right? So, by definition, the main... the enticingness of being well-rounded is that you can overcome when someone is better than you in one area, right? And that's just what we're looking for here. Now, the beautiful thing about the sport is that doesn't always work, right? I would say that Ray was better than Josh. He's better at Josh at jiu-jitsu and wrestling, but Josh's striking was able to overcome. Now, why was that? I would say because Joshua Van's jiu-jitsu wasn't that far behind Ray's.
It was close
It's
enough.
It's not exactly a 1 point.
Right, yeah.
It's not like 1 point here, 1 point there, 1 point there, right? Like it's like more of a gray. It's like, okay, well, this was 60-40. This was 90-10. And this was, even though it was 100-0. Or I guess he defended takedowns, but those don't score.
All right, Mike, you ready for this?
Yeah.
I have 2 apologies to make.
No, I just don't understand. Like, this dude landed 47 freaking strikes.
One is to Ray. I'm sorry I said you're one-dimensional. You clearly have excellent jiu-jitsu and fantastic wrestling, and I'm sorry that I said that you didn't have it. And 2 is to you, Mike, because now you've made your point. I agree with you. I think he's got good jiu-jitsu.
That has nothing to do with my point.
Yeah, that makes him not one-dimensional.
Yeah, it does make him not one-dimensional. But, man, I just don't see, like, if I got landed on 47 times by a dude who didn't know how to strike, that'd be wild. That'd be wild, 47 by a dude who doesn't know how to strike. That's crazy. So you think this dude can't strike, like, at all? He landed 47 strikes on Joshua Van.
Again, it's a threshold. Let me
I
ask you
do think
this.
it's a threshold. I think that you can't not, like, you can, like, how many...
Do you think those numbers would be similar if it was a kickboxing, Muay Thai boxing?
No, because
fight?
it's the threat of the takedown that allows those to be set up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the sport we're doing
Right.
here, right? So, like, is that what you want to do? You want to say, oh, like, let's put them in those matches?
Well, no, because then I would also say if you had Joshua Van...
do a wrestling or jiu-jitsu match, he's going to lose both of those.
Right.
Right, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, you can't say, like it's the... he has striking for the sport that we're doing.
Fair enough.
Right? Or is that not, like, part of it? Like, did I have great striking? Like, no. Not even close. Did I land a bunch of strikes on people who were better than me? Yeah. Why? Because of takedowns. And should that not count? No, it counts. It's why I got wins.
Fair enough.
You know? Like, 100%. Like, look at take the Regman fight for a prime example of it.
All right, let me ask you one question then, and I think that's going to kind of wrap it up because I think we're kind of on the same page now. If you were making these video game stats, right? Let's say you personally are in charge of making the UFC video game. Do you factor in, when you're making that striking score, do you factor in, like, takedown threats?
Yeah, that would absolutely factor into your striking score.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, does it or does it not?
100%.
It's 100% proven to factor in.
100%.
So why would it not all of a sudden factor in? It 100% factors in.
We've taken it too far. We agree too much now.
The bad thing about it, though, is, like, like, not everybody gets the same, like, XP to put in their video game character.
Right, exactly.
Right, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Some
Or-
dudes have
Yeah.
300, some dudes have 50.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, some dudes have a 90 in wrestling and a 90 in jiu-jitsu and a 94 in striking.
Yeah, exactly.
While some dudes are 60s straight through.
Yeah.
You know? That's just how it is. All right, now, it's hard to talk about jiu-jitsu and wrestling and separating them because it's like there's a lot of gray area and overlap.
Yeah.
Where does wrestling stop and jiu-jitsu begin for you?
Again, it's hard to say, but broad strokes for MMA, I would say once a position is secured on the ground, then I think, roughly speaking, and obviously it doesn't work exactly like this, then we're talking jiu-jitsu.
So I still think that's the gray area. I think that's a shared area. Because one thing that you said was about getting to the pin, right? Or, like, you know, like most of the areas where you get your TKOs from in MMA are jiu-jitsu positions like mountain back control. Dude, those are wrestling positions too.
That's a good
right?
point.
What's back control? That's like watch any wrestling match.
Right,
That's
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what the top person's trying to get to, right? And what's our goal in wrestling? To get to top side or mount and hold you there, make you unable to move. The pin. Same in jiu-jitsu, because if I pin you, that is the easiest I'm going to be able to isolate a limb or isolate your neck to submit you. So the gray area, I would say, like, it really, like, wrestling is primarily like the takedowns, and then it's both all the way through until the submission hold.
Yeah, for sure. And this is actually interesting too, because now we get into the difference between folk style and freestyle. You know what I mean? Because of the, you know,
The
differing-
control.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm talking wrestling there, I'm talking, if folk style didn't exist, then I would say jiu-jitsu starts as soon as it hits the ground. I would say the gray area is less due to
Right,
due
yeah,
to,
yeah, the
to
rule set.
freestyle's rule set. All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Max.
I ran out of counterpoints for you.
Max, what do you think?
I like a lot of what you guys were saying. I think I pulled this up. I'm just gonna throw it up there. You don't have to go over it or anything, but just for what it's worth, a good example of the lesser striker having success due to the threat of the grappling was the main event
Perfect example.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Ankalaev outstruck Pereira, and I don't think anyone's going to say that in the kickboxing fight it's going to go the same way, but you have such a fear of the takedown instilled that, you know,
This is even misleading because, like, you could say, like, relatively those are like close-ish numbers, but I would say that Ankalaev hit, like, the significantly harder, more meaningful strikes too. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Did I say that in the earlier part where Ankalaev, like, I didn't even think that those were, like, great shot entries, but even just the threat is so valuable in MMA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but just that kind of thing. Initially, I was going to pull up the stats for like Khabib and Conor, but I realized that like those stats are going to be skewed because Khabib was able to get him down and control him. Like Ray wasn't able to really get Van down at all. So all of those strikes that you're seeing
he did
are
with that headlock,
yeah.
and then he held him probably
Right.
for like what 40 seconds there.
but not
Longer
enough
than
time
that.
to
What was
do
total
like
control time. 2 minutes something.
Yeah, well, he got 4 takedowns, so that's
Oh,
a
yeah,
maximum
spread
of
out.
4. But that one was the longest.
What do you call that throw with the arm?
I can't say it. Call it an arm spin. Call it an arm spin.
Okay, dude, that was so sick.
Can you
Is there-
make sure you bleep this out?
Is there a colloquial term for it?
Yeah, we called it.
Okay,
I swear to God, I grew up like my coach would yell it.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah, like that was like no one batted an eye.
Right,
That was
yeah.
the name.
It was a different time, brother.
Yeah.
Dude, Max, good luck editing this pod, dude.
Just that part, like you need that.
this is going to be
Oh, I just mean in general, like
fantastic.
getting the last part in the middle there, whatever. You'll figure it
Whatever,
out.
dude. He's gonna get it done. All right, cool. I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
Are you done, Max?
I think I'm
Max,
good.
who do you think you more agree with?
He's gonna start it back up. Also, Mike, hold on real quick. Let me interject. Whenever you went to him,
What time is it?
did you get that quick feeling? It's 3:50 something.
Fuck.
Did you get that feeling when as soon
No sushi now.
as you said something to Max, I was like, oh shit, we're about to gang up on him. Did you get that feeling at all?
No, now I'm pissed because I'm off the sushi.
sorry.
Katie's gonna be so mad. Is there somewhere else I can get sushi from?
Yeah. Marissa will know somewhere.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry, Max. Keep it going.
I mean, I think that I do agree with. I think that you were making good points. I think that it was more of a miscommunication early, and
Isn't it wild though that Will misunderstood that?
Part of it was slightly
Yeah.
intentional because of.
I think that
But
that
then
it was
then the actual points,
Like the
that I wanted you to
TKO,
make-
like calling TKOs wrestling. That's one thing, right? Like yeah, like and I could be like, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying, right? Like take him down, ground and pound him, like old school, right? Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's wrestling. Well, what about the submission? Like you were just like, oh, and like,
I think you could make an argument.
is that
for the
not
same-
two dimensions right there?
for the same thing? But the problem was I was arguing where those thresholds are, and you were arguing definition, and I just we had that disconnect, and that's what made it wild.
Like it's just like in that definition, that means someone could be so good at something that it would be impossible for them to be like, well, like fully equipped. Right? You'd be like, well, this dude is the greatest striker ever. He's 100 there.
Yeah, he just
right.
one-shots
He's just
everyone.
absolutely amazing. So, and he could also be the best wrestler ever, but
We just don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's a weakness right now. It's one dimensional. Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Max.
Sorry.
Who's the winner?
I mean, I think both teams played great.
Somebody hates this podcast.
I think we made it. I think it was a good decision coming back and just continuing through the fire. I feel like you guys both made much better accounts of yourself towards the end there. And I really liked what you were saying at the end about like when does jiu-jitsu start versus wrestling. I think that's an interesting idea.
That is interesting.
Right on. All right. Are we done?
Yeah,
Can we
man.
be done? All right. That's it. We're done. Bye.